Hi, my name is Ian Bishop, and I'm here for the peer mentor position at the University of Arkansas. And this is my interview video. For question one, on average, the peer mentor position is a 6-hour week job, but as an engineering student, you will already have a rigorous academic schedule each semester. How do you plan on balancing your other time commitments, academic commitments, and other obligations along with your peer mentor position? So, I've known being a junior that being an engineer is difficult and it's hard to find time management, but it is possible. And so, going to class, I will make sure that it is a priority. Academic commitments, of course, along with scholarships, I must do that. But my peer mentor position will be just next. It will come before any free time that I will make for myself. I will ensure that the students are prepared as well as myself whenever it comes to meetings, and I will make sure that they know when to meet, I know when to meet, and that we are able to meet with each other along according to our own time regulations. But peer mentor position is definitely up there along with school and academics. Question two, describe a time you had to deal with a difficult or challenging situation, whether personal, professional, or academic. What did you learn from that experience? So a difficult or challenging situation that I had to deal with was working a constant job while I was 16 years old. A lot of people don't even get a job until they're around 18, but as soon as I could, my mom told me to get out there, get a job at Walmart, and I was working every weekend. While my friends were out having fun, I was there making money, and I've seen the fruits of my labor now that I've saved all the money I did make, and my bank account couldn't use some help, but is not doing as bad as if I had not worked at all, obviously. But I learned that hard work does take time and effort, and it does come out to equating with a good goal. And working hard does have its perks, and um, the road to success is a long one. Question three, for the weekly meetings you will be conducting, you are given a script with talking points. Aside from these talking points, a big part of the weekly meeting is communication between mentor and mentee, and how well you as mentor can keep your mentee engaged. How will you encourage this weekly conversation and create an engaging atmosphere? Okay, so as long as, other than the talking points, I plan to keep it kind of chill with my peer mentor students, and I want to seem like I'm a friend and somebody that they could come to. I don't want to seem artificial or something like this is my job. I'm only doing it for my job, but like I want to connect with these students and like maybe give them my Snapchat or give them some way to communicate with me that I won't do in maybe a formerly manner, because they'll be more open to talking to me if I'm honest and I give them my opinion rather than giving them the proper answer. One of the biggest complaints we hear, this is question four. One of the biggest complaints we hear is that some mentees don't see the point of discussing certain topics. How will you address what type of comment or attitude if and when you notice it, and how will you keep the student engaged in weekly meetings? So sometimes I myself didn't really see the point of discussing topics in peer mentorship, and I don't know why they couldn't just send in an email. But having the one-to-one interaction will allow us to have more in-depth conversations, whereas if they have questions, I won't have to, or they won't have to wait on a reply on an email, and they'll be able to get an answer like, hey, do you know where Club Red is on campus? Or could you tell me what the library hours are? Like I could answer that for them right there. We can go check it out ourselves. We can, I can keep a conversation going somewhat easily. As long as there's something to talk about. So if they have any questions, I have any questions for them, I will be using that to extend our meeting time as long as possible. Question five. Tell us what it means to be a peer mentor in the first year engineering program. What are your strengths or what skills do you possess that would make you an ideal fit to be a peer mentor? To be a peer mentor means to me that I'm helping my future generations of students and engineers in the school. So if I find somebody that's also a computer science major, I will be able to talk to them and like give them tips on how they can make it through college simple and easy. And if they're not computer science, it's all right because we're all engineers and we all basically take the same beginning classes. And it may seem tough, but it's good reassurance to know that like it is worth going through all of these classes. And it may seem tough, but like we can do it. It's possible. I think my strengths and skills would be like my talking communication skills. I'm good at like making people feel like they understand what's going on. So if they don't feel like they understand, I'll be able to go over that with them. And if they have any questions, I am knowledgeable of the campus since I've lived there every year on campus. So I'll be able to give them some feedback that should make them feel like they can come to me whenever they want, and I should be a knowledgeable peer mentor. Question 6. One of the most difficult conversations a peer mentor will have with a mentee will be concerning their grades. Often mentees choose not to discuss their grades when doing poorly for a multitude of reasons. How would you handle a conversation with a mentee that is struggling or failing academically? How would you work with a mentee who you knew was struggling but chose not to talk about it to you? So first of all, it's not like bad to be struggling. Everybody struggles, obviously. And failing academically, I think we've all probably been there at some point where you feel like you're lost and that you're not going to make it through the semester in this class. But getting help is the first step to taking the right step in the right direction. So as far as him letting me, or the mentee letting me know that they're struggling, I'll be able to get with other people. Maybe I can give them some help as far as who to talk to, or maybe I could talk to somebody for them. If they're not willing or struggling to tell me that they're struggling academically or something like that, and they didn't want to talk about it, I would not push them to where they feel uncomfortable, but I would ask them if they do require assistance, and I would make sure that they are on the right path for succeeding, tell them the right steps to take, what I would do maybe in that situation, but give them all these types of opportunities, and at that point it is their option to take my advice or not. But I do hope to see all these students succeed, and I will do as much as possible to get them on the right path to do so. Question 7. How would you handle a situation where you have a mentee that is either consistently late to meetings or misses meetings frequently but never communicates with you beforehand? If you're missing the meetings that we have and you don't even tell me, I'm going to send out an email, hopefully, that you will reply to and be like, hey, man, or what's going on? Where have you been? And I want to know, maybe if it's a personal reason that they could tell me, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'll just send you an email with what's going on this week. If you're consistently late, I may be like, do you want to change the time that we have our meetings, or the location of it? Because sometimes it is difficult going from class to class to get to your meeting on time. But as long as they do communicate with me, I'll make sure that they're open to do that, and I'm not going to be mad at them for communicating with me. It's always a good thing when they do. Question 8. You contacted a mentee that has missed your scheduled meeting time without any prior warning. They immediately emailed, text back an excuse that is legitimate, but ultimately something they knew would keep them from being at your meeting well in advance. What would you do? So if somebody missed the meeting because of something they knew that they were going to miss, like being out of town or family obligations, I would not be necessarily mad, but I would like for them to like let me know in advance that maybe they're not going to make it to a meeting. I'll make that clear whenever we have our first meeting, that if there is anything that they aren't able to attend, please let me know beforehand, because just like their schedule is, my schedule is probably just as busy, and I don't like to waste my time going to a meeting that you can't even show up to. And I'm glad that they would send an email letting me know where they are, but maybe be the day before or a few days before. If you know you're going to miss, that would be ideal. So I would let them know that, and maybe like if I do have their social media, I could like send them a Snapchat, be like, "You're gonna be there tomorrow," just to ensure that. Question 9. While our match survey does a wonderful job pairing people based on similar starting points like math and personal traits and interests such as major, it isn't a perfect process. How would you connect to a mentee that does share the same interest in your major? How would you connect with a mentee that had a different academic philosophy than you, such as a need to get a 4.0 or I'm failing, C's get degrees, or somewhere in between? So, like I said earlier, I'm computer science engineering, and if they weren't necessarily computer science oriented, maybe biomedical or something, I would still understand that we all go through the same hardships as an engineer, and that it is a difficult process for all of us. Maybe we could find other certain interests like outside of our major that we could talk about, like maybe we both like coffee, or maybe we like video games or something in that nature. If they aren't on the same idea as like 4.0 or failing or something like that, it's not always wrong to be like you can get a 4.0 or not. Like there's certain boundaries that people have to let down, but I would recommend that as long as you're keeping your scholarships, that's probably the best academic philosophy to follow. That's what I follow, and yeah, I'd like to maybe if they are a little more strict on their grades, I could follow along with that and try to be more resilient with the work that I give them, or maybe be more open to questions that they have because they will be asking more questions. Question 10. If there was one thing on your resume that you could highlight, especially if you haven't had the chance to talk about it yet, what would it be and why would you choose it? One thing that I could highlight is the working at the Root Elementary, and I got to do the hour of code last year. It was very fun. I had a lot of fun doing that and working with the students and seeing how like they get an opportunity that I couldn't do myself because like coding wasn't really mainstream. We didn't have the technology to do it when I was in school, their grade. So it's nice to see how our future is gonna have like these people like guiding them, and I'm glad that I can be one of those people. And kind of like the peer mentorship being for freshmen, this is kind of like even on a bigger scale. Like these, I get to help these students that don't know anything about school hardly at all, but they understand the fundamentals of what coding is, and I'm glad that I could be like a foundation for that learning. Question 11. If you could be any animal, what would you be? If I could be any animal, I would probably be a bird or something that flies because I hate being stuck somewhere. I don't like being like obviously right now at the house or something like that. But yeah, I like to be able to fly wherever I want to, not be stuck, be held down by these roads or how fast I can walk or something like that. Also, birds are pretty cool because they can like chirp and stuff. So yeah, I would maybe be like a pelican because I like the ocean too, but like I like to be able to fly. So yeah, that is my interview for the peer mentorship position at the University of Arkansas. My name is Ian Bishop, and thank you for your consideration.